The city of Goose Creek turned 60 years old and now is looking towards the future with its own comprehensive plan. I talk one-on-one with Mayor Greg Habib of the city of Goose Creek for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook.
Mayor Greg Habib, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
I'm very happy to be here. This is my fourth, I believe, time to come and visit with you, Quintin. I always appreciate the invitation.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, let me just jump into the obvious and ask you an obvious question. The state of Goose Creek is?
Oh, we're great, man. We're cooking with fire up here in Goose Creek. We've really started to see the results of the work that we've put in by engaging with the rest of the region. Economic development here is doing well. Quintin, during a pandemic, our economic base actually grew. So we had businesses opening during our pandemic. Now, that's not to say some didn't struggle. That's not to say we didn't lose some. But our overall commercial base, our overall retail base, our economic development program grew during a pandemic. So things are going very well here. We still have work to do. We still have our own growing pains that are happening. But we've got plans in place, and we're very proud, very happy with what's going on here in the city of Goose Creek.
Obviously, economic development is going to be a part of the comprehensive plan. And let me ask you this. Let me start off first by asking you this. Where exactly is the population change in your city?
Well, from about 2005, give or take, to now, the population's gone from about 30,000 up to about 45,000. And we're continuing to see growth now. Out in our northern area, we've annexed into the 17A 176 corridor, the Carnes Crossroads corridor, which is a new upcoming community out there that's being built. There are about 3,500 homes that are going to be going up out there in the future. Some apartment complexes and the like. So I would say the most of our growth is going to happen in that direction. However, there's still growth. There's still homes to be built in the Brickyard Plantation area. There's still infill projects in between, in other areas, acreage within the city that is being developed and will be developed. The old Oaks Plantation is going to be developed here in the upcoming. Sorry, my computer just spoke to me again. I'm sorry about that. I told you. So, growth is going to continue to go, and we're prepared. I've said before, I know you've heard me,
right,
that, limiting growth is not something that I'm interested in doing. Managing growth is not really a term that I like. Being prepared for growth is the term that I like. I like us to be prepared for it and to participate in it. So our comprehensive plan is actually going to take us into more of an even participatory mode. That we've created what we believe is a realistic and achievable land use plan for our city, so that we can work with developers to make our city look like what we want it to look like. We want to be part of the plan and part of the growth. We don't want to sit back and just watch things happen. And that's what's happened for a long time, not just here, but in and throughout. And that's why we have infrastructure issues and other issues that face us because of some of the exponential growth that's happened here. So we're much more participatory now, and our comprehensive plan gives us a plan to do that.
Let me ask you this, Mayor. What are those population projections for the city of Goose Creek, say, 10 years from now?
Well, we expect, we're going to be between 2 and 3% growth over that period of time. You figure about 2.5, 2 to 2.5, if you figure that time. So, in 10 years from now, we'll be at 52, 53,000, maybe something in those ranges. Yeah.
And what are the demographic trends right now in your particular city?
Well, it's changed somewhat over the history of our city. Certainly 60 years ago, this is our 60th birthday.
Yes.
This year that we're celebrating here in the city of Goose Creek. And certainly, what we were 60 years ago is not what we are now. We are a much more diverse population than we ever have been. Both in race and in culture and religion and economics and the like. So we're continuing to grow in a way, quite frankly, that I'm proud that we think of everyone in this process. Just like the rest of the Tri-County area, Quintin real estate in Goose Creek is going through the roof. So it's becoming more and more difficult for folks to find attainable housing. And so as we move forward, we have to keep those things in mind and work with developers to try to create opportunities for everyone to live here in the city of Goose Creek. And that's become somewhat difficult, right? So, if a teacher can't afford to live here, or if a police officer can't afford to live in the town that they serve, that's detrimental. We believe that those folks need to be able to live in and around the community they serve, and a better community comes out of that. So, certainly we have some more affluent neighborhoods going up, but we've got to maintain our commitment to attainable housing, and we're working very hard on that as well.
How are you encouraging sound development policies that promote mixed-use, high-density residential areas that offer a wide range of housing options and provide pedestrian accessibility?
Well, you just, again, we just talked about the attainability. I've talked about it before. Attainable housing or affordable housing, you cannot artificially create. It's very difficult anyway to artificially create it. And so in order to do that, you have to build more housing. It's a supply and demand issue, right? So if there aren't enough houses, then the price is going to go up. If there aren't enough apartments, the price goes up because they can demand more for their product. And so, people get scared to hear that. No, we actually have to build more houses. We have to build more density. People don't, it's how are we going about it is I try every day to educate folks that when you think high density, you think walkability, you think meeting the needs of people where they live does not create traffic. It actually helps manage traffic. I said before, everybody's concern here in the Charleston area, and obviously including Goose Creek, is traffic. Our number one way to get out of to manage our traffic issues is through economic development. And it is how you grow. So everything we do here in the city of Goose Creek, we're trying to serve the people where they live. What does that mean? It means you build houses where businesses are, businesses where houses are. You create opportunities for people to work near where they live so that they don't have to leave our city to go and meet their needs. It is part of our comprehensive plan, and our plan is to extend and complete our hiker-biker system that goes throughout the city of Goose Creek. It doesn't go throughout yet. We want it to be able to complete that. So that's certainly part of our plan moving forward. So we create connectability without having to get in a car. But again, just to reiterate, if you want to help with traffic, you put jobs and people and retail and commercial together. That's how you do it. So here, whenever, we have some infill housing projects where they're just going to be building a small apartment complex or a small set of duplexes, right? That's infill. It's a small piece of land and all that. Moving forward, anytime anybody wants to build a substantial amount of homes, they have to build more than homes. They have to build communities. You have to be able to meet your need within your community as much as you can. So if we're going to build a neighborhood of 5 or 6 or 700 or 1,000 homes, we need to get a grocery store near there, right? You need to be able to meet that need as closely as you can if you want to mitigate traffic. So we're working very hard trying to get more work opportunities here in the city of Goose Creek, so that again, if you put a pin down in the middle of the city of Goose Creek, there's 150,000 people that live within 5 miles. We need opportunities for those folks to work here and to meet their needs here so that they don't have to drive to Charleston or North Charleston or wherever, and that'll mitigate our traffic problems. And as you just asked about mixed use,
Right.
Mixed use means, again, a definition that I like, or how I define mixed use, is more people can meet their needs in one spot. So they don't have to get in a car, they don't have to leave where they are. They can meet more of their needs right where they live.
Let me ask you this. This might be a complicated question, Mayor, but how do you observe regional population growth by marketing the small city character as an alternative to lower density, auto dependent development occurring in unincorporated and previously undeveloped portions of Berkeley County?
Well, that's a very difficult, you're right, it is a very complicated question because what's happened is we haven't worked together. That's not the right word. That's not the right term. Everybody is working on their own, right? So a developer wants to build out at Cane Bay. They develop this massive neighborhood with 10,000 homes, and that effect on the city of Goose Creek is tremendous. We happen to be bisected by Highway 52 and Highway 176. So in this part of Berkeley County, if you want to get to North Charleston or Somerville, you're driving through Goose Creek. So, and then you're dealing with a population that, of course, thinks their way of life is getting ruined by people moving here and by all of the growth. The fact of the matter is, healthy economies require growth. And until there's an economy based on something other than growth, this is what we have to do. I have been in towns where there are declining populations. That's a struggle. That's a real struggle. Services die. People don't have their needs met. Their taxes go up. Their services get less. So trying to juxtapose single family, large scale development with high density, again, we'll go back to your question before about mixed use. It's really an education thing that we have to continue to educate folks on what it means for mixed use, what mixed use means, what high density means, what its real impact is versus, 10,000 single family homes, and what the impact on the entire region is. I've probably gotten off topic and really sort of, and having difficult now going back, but it is a regional issue. The growth in the Charleston area has affected all of us in a both positive and negative way. But this is why I go back. When I say limit growth or manage growth, I don't like those terms. We have to be prepared for it. And we have to put systems in place that that take advantage of the growth, as opposed to letting the growth take advantage of our systems.
Now, how would you update the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations to reflect the future land use map?
Well, we have interesting, so that's a fairly long answer too. We are actually needing a significant overhaul of our entire zoning ordinance. We actually are embarking on that now, and it will probably take a year or more. So when you say, how do you do it? Well, again, you take the land use map. Again, a land use map, in order to be effective, has to be reasonable and achievable. You can't say, well, we want X, Y, Z here, and you know full well that's never going to happen. So that doesn't help anybody. So we've identified where we would like reasonable things to be. Our zoning ordinance, how do you create a zoning ordinance that makes sense for both the city and the developers? That's what you have to do, is create a cohesive document and codify what you want, all right? What zones are meaningful? Where does multifamily go? What is mixed use? According to our land use map, this is what we want mixed use. Let's actually, if we can, go ahead and zone for that. Let's put it under a plan development and come up with a plan. But, zoning, the benefit of a clearly defined and up-to-date zoning ordinance is it makes business easier to do. It means when people want to come and do business, we have very clear and concise answers. Right now, we have 60 years of modifications, to a zoning ordinance that can be quite confusing. Every city does this. Every city goes through this when things change here and there. But until you actually go in and essentially repeal your entire zoning ordinance and replace it with something new and up to date, that's the benefit of zoning that you have to get buy-in from the community, you have to get buy-in from the developers, you have to get buy-in from the landowners. All right, it's one thing for us to say, well, we want this land to be that, and if the landowner says no, I don't want that to be that. So you have to buy in from a lot of people. Now, we've worked on that, and we have that. We've worked very closely with landowners in this process and have an open line of communication. And so again, once all of our zoning requirements are updated, it'll just make things a lot easier to push forward, to move forward in a way that makes sense for our community and our citizens.
Now, can you, Mayor, identify specific gaps and niches in the local and regional economy to assist in building a diversified range of specialized industry clusters that draw on local advantages?
Well, so to that end, the CRDA and the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce work very closely together, and they have workplace clusters. I don't even remember the number, 12 or 13 different, work site clusters. And so you have to work from 10,000 feet and look down and see, okay, where can, where are those glitches or the gaps, as you said. And so we are working with the CRDA and the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. I now serve on the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce board. We hadn't participated at that level before. It's actually my turn, the mayor of Goose Creek's term, now coming up to serve on the executive committee of the RDA. And so we'll work closely with them, identifying opportunities that may not be, where those needs may not be met in our community. For the most part, the City of Goose Creek would fit in a niche sort of way, as you mentioned. Again, we're not the large-scale workplace opportunity. Volvo is not moving inside the City of Goose Creek, right? So, but a supplier to Volvo may, right? And what we've also seen, while during this pandemic, office space has probably been less needed, there is still space needed for entrepreneurialism. And so what we're looking to create, and as part of our land use plan, is we want to create entrepreneur space, more entrepreneur space. So, smaller commercial opportunities for entrepreneurs to be able to come in and take advantage of the price and the size and all that, so that they can have the opportunity to grow their business here in the City of Goose Creek. Again, we have spots for large-scale, manufacturing, not heavy industrial, but light industrial applications that might serve some of the, that might serve Boeing or serve Volvo or the like. And we'd love to fill those with some technical positions and high-paying jobs, and we're continuing to work on that. But, you said, what are the gaps? We think there's some entrepreneurial space. We still believe there's tech opportunity that we may be able to take advantage of here in the City of Goose Creek. There's thousands of companies that seem to want to move from California out east, and they can't all move to Daniel Island. So we think we can take advantage of some of that opportunity as well.
Bringing you to another obvious question, Dan. How will you encourage more light industrial, that is, and office employment opportunities for the city and area residents?
Well, here's the thing: is we have not worked very hard at making it happen. We are now in regular communication with the Department of Commerce. We're in regular communication with the Berkeley County Economic Development Office. We're in regular communication with the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce and the RDA. And like I said, when you and understand too, and I'll go back and point out a conversation that Mayor Tecklenburg and I had. Mayor Tecklenburg needs the City of Goose Creek to have economic development and job opportunity. Go back to what I said before. If you want to mitigate traffic, you do that through economic development. So Mayor Tecklenburg agrees that, hey man, City of Goose Creek needs to get some of these jobs, some of these high-paying good jobs, so that the people that live in the City of Goose Creek don't have to drive to Charleston for those jobs. So it has to be looked at regionally. Economic development has to be looked at regionally and then statewide. If you put all of everything in one spot, you're creating a traffic jam. If you spread it out, then you're going to mitigate traffic and growth. So you want to spread that growth out throughout our region. And the folks that are in those positions understand that and get that. We just have to participate in it ourselves. Part of economic development we've found in any type of business, in my own private business, in serving as mayor, and anything you do, it's about relationships. Everything you do is about building relationships, and we've continued to work on that. So that, and again, we're seeing a lot of interest come. It may take time, it may take a little more time, but our phones are ringing and people are very interested in coming here because we have, in the city of Goose Creek, we are highly diverse, as we discussed earlier. We are highly educated. Our demographics are very positive towards higher tech, higher paying jobs. And then you point out that within a 5-mile radius of the middle of our city, there's 150,000 people with the opportunity to live and work closer to their home. That will also encourage some of the light industrial applications to move up here.
Now, in what ways will you continue to work towards identifying and improving quality of life issues relevant to recruitment of those industries to the town, such as traffic and congestion, schools, recreation opportunities, and utility infrastructure?
So everything we do and everything I put forward here at the City of Goose Creek has to reflect the quality of life that we want. Everything. Economic development does not live on its own. It has to impact in a positive way your quality of life or the quality of life that people who live here. So let's go back to our comprehensive plan that we just finished. We want to complete the hiker-biker trail to create connectivity here in the city of Goose Creek so that people may not have to get in their cars to traverse it. We're spending $2 million on a brand new John McCants Veterans Park in our Boulder Bluff community, one of our older communities that has been long overdue for a high quality park. We're making plans right now to redevelop our Casey Center property, which is in the old Casey community, which dates back hundreds of years. But we had a dilapidated building there that we took down, and we're going to redevelop that entire property with one of the largest all-inclusive playgrounds, one of the largest all-inclusive playgrounds, certainly in the state of South Carolina, if not in the Southeast, to create opportunities for people to come to.
Right.
Goals of our city government, from the first mayor to me, it has always been one of the core roles that we've taken on, because
Right.
we want. Quality of life takes in not only the recreational aspect, but meeting your needs in your city. If you don't have to drive to Charleston to meet your needs, your quality of life is better. You spend less time in your car, more time at home with your kids, more time in your community with your neighborhood, with your neighbors. So that's how you do that. And the quality of life has to be, the aspect of the quality of life has to be forefront or paramount in everything that you do, whether it's economic development, whether it's adding water, new water lines, or redeveloping our water infrastructure, whether it's identifying restaurants who would do well here in Goose Creek and getting them to invest. The quality of life of the people that live here has to be at the forefront of every action we take.
And what restaurants are you recruiting to Goose Creek right now?
Well, listen, we're still in the baby stages around here. We've had some great ones move in. Momo came in. Charleston Sports Club is now in. Kanji is now in. Steel City Pizza is now in. There's several others as well that are coming. We're very proud, and I'm glad you asked, that one of our main initiatives was to redevelop our old fire station.
Right.
So we built a new fire station, and I ask everybody, what does that leave you with? It leaves you with an old fire station. Well, what do you do with it? We're very proud that the Creek Creek Grill and Brewery is going to open up there in June, and it'll be the first brewery here in the city of Goose Creek. It's been a partnership with CityVolve, which is a company that does redevelopment work throughout the Charleston area.
Right.
They did, probably half or better of Park Circle and what's going on there.
Right.
So that's going to open in June. And while we are seeing successes in other parts of our city, and other growth opportunities, and there are some other infill projects that are coming that I know, some of the other restaurants will be moving in here that we have on our list. We're particularly proud because this, we hope, will be a catalytic opening for us, that it'll really, putting a brewery in our town and a high quality restaurant with that brewery, we think will really help be a catalyst towards other redevelopment in our 52-176 corridor area, which may actually help us create some more of a downtown kind of feel down the road. Many people know we don't have a downtown here in the city of Goose Creek. Anything we have, we're going to have to create. But we hope this will be a catalytic event to help maybe push us in that direction.
How do you create a downtown Goose Creek with the Goose Creek that you have?
Well, it's gonna take some demolition and some rebuilding. That's how you do it. But when you have old buildings, some of which are not really meant for to be redone. Some are meant to be. When they built them in a time, things that got built back in the 20s and 30s, you go in, you rip everything out, and you make them new, but you don't tear the shell down.
Right.
Things that got built in a little different architectural era, instead of trying to redevelop those, oftentimes they get torn down. We have incentivized redevelopment in our incentive zone. We have an incentive zone, which is that 52-176 Red Bank Road corridor, where we've incentivized people to come in, buy property, redevelop property, put in businesses that will serve the people who live here, and really sort of, create a much nicer area. But in the end, how do you do it? You got to tear some stuff down to get from here to there. And if you tear some stuff down, then you can actually, then you redesign it. Downtown, think about how long, for example, Montague Avenue is, off of Park Circle.
Right.
Just that little stretch from North Charleston High School to Virginia Avenue. It's not very long.
Right.
So you don't need a huge, we're not trying to create Charleston, South Carolina's downtown out here in Goose Creek. We're trying to create a stretch of a few hundred yards of a downtown where people can actually come together. And again, everything we do is create an opportunity for people to come together. And certainly a downtown would help us do that.
Now, how many of those minority businesses are you recruiting to the city of Goose Creek?
Well, I don't have a number for you, but we do have several new minority-owned businesses here in the city of Goose Creek, including Acute Heating and Air Conditioning, the Turning Page Bookstore, which is the only bookstore owned by a minority female in South Carolina that we're aware of, and probably further than that. But we have seen growth. We have seen more interest in people investing in our community. And it is not only from developers, but, again, it is from folks who just want to start a business here. So we want to be a place for entrepreneurism, and there is growth in our minority business community. I don't have the numbers for you right this minute, but I can speak to those too, and I can tell you there are many more. And it's growing. We continue to see people taking advantage of the opportunities they have in the growth and a business climate that wants their investment.
Now, Kickstart the Creek, I talked with Matt Brady about that right before what happened to me. But obviously, that's a big deal in the Goose Creek. Where are we right now with Kickstart the Creek?
Well, we've Kickstart the Creek, for your viewers that don't know, is a loan program that we started last year to help. Yes, there was PPP money from the federal government, some other state assistance, but a lot of businesses fall through those cracks. We had a significant fund balance over what we require to keep. So we had some significant excess fund balance. And we had that because of the successes we've had getting folks to invest in our community. So that money came from our businesses. And it was important to me to take some of that money and reinvest it in our businesses. It's a lot easier, some will tell you, to keep a business and help them stay here than it is to attract a new one. And so we had some businesses fall through the cracks of PPP. And so we established this fund. It's loans from anywhere from 2,500 to 25,000. Mostly operating capital is what we're trying to provide to folks to help them see through the several months. And we partnered with the LDC of Charleston. They're the experts in lending. We're not. We just know that we wanted to reinvest in our businesses. And the LDC of Charleston, they're the experts in lending. So we partnered with them to run this loan program for us. We have issued 2 loans. We're very proud of the folks that have been able to take advantage of it, and we hope that it'll see them through. We hope that it turns into a revolving loan fund apart from recovering from a pandemic. We hope that we can keep a revolving loan fund, again, to encourage entrepreneurism. We need to be a community that takes advantage of the niches or the gaps that you mentioned earlier. And if we can be a community that fosters entrepreneurism at a greater rate than another, then maybe that's how we grow. And then we hope that the Kickstart the Creek, that becomes that revolving loan fund that helps enable more entrepreneurism here in the city.
Now, how many loans have you all produced since that time?
Just 2. So it's been a process. We just finalized those not too long ago, but we did give out 2 loans. Again, very proud. So what also the LDC does is we were the last effort to loan. The LDC took those, the folks here in the City of Goose Creek and made sure that they were able to access PPP if they were eligible, or other state aid if they were eligible. So some of the folks that came to us for help, or went to the LDC for help under our loan program, didn't actually need our loan program because they were eligible for PPP and didn't know it or didn't realize the process. And so the LDC was very helpful in getting them to that. But we have given out 2 loans to 2 companies and two businesses that we're very proud to support, and we hope that they're going to be here for a very, very long time.
Now, what will be your goal in the next year or so with that?
I would love to see, I would love for us not to lose any businesses, and I would love for us not to have to loan money to any businesses to keep them afloat. That would be great, right? And so the goal at that point would be that the money that's still available that we can actually use as startup operating capital for some entrepreneurs who may not have access through traditional loan programs. A lot of people, they may be able to start up with $20,000 and get them going, and that might be what they need to get moving forward. Well, traditional loan programs don't even talk to you if you only need $20,000. So, my hope is in the next year, or after the next year is probably more likely, that we will have transitioned into just a non-traditional loan program for folks who are trying to start a business, and that we can be here to support them here in the City of Goose Creek and get them off the ground and help grow our entrepreneurial community.
Now, I forgot to mention this, and I'm pretty sure it's in the comprehensive plan, but let me ask you this. Would you encourage watershed-based planning principles that protect riparian areas and contribute to the overall health of the watersheds that the city resides in?
Well, we are a member of the we are a member of the Lake Moultrie Water Authority, so our water comes from the lake, and we partner with other water agencies to service that. But the impact of the watershed is certainly very important to ensure that we don't take more than what's ours, more than what we need, or so that we can contribute, that the watershed continues to contribute to the entire area. That's the role, and that kind of engineering is. We work very closely with Berkeley County because again they have the engineering expertise and the engineering to ensure that we're working within those parameters, and any cooperative efforts that are out there to ensure watershed integrity. Again, that's much more of a partnership idea than something that we can do on our own.
And I forgot to ask you this too, Mayor. In what way do you want to improve the vehicular circulation on the automobile transportation network to improve safety and obviously alleviate peak hour congestion?
Well, the COG, the CHATS program, Charleston Area Transportation, they're working on the It just escaped me. The name
Oh, no worries.
just escaped me. You have to edit this out, Quintin.
Oh, the Low
Just
Country
escaped
Rapid Transit.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
So
sir.
they're working on Low Country Rapid Transit, and right now that line is from Somerville and kind of comes down 78 and down Rivers Avenue.
Right.
There are plans, obviously, down the road for that to stretch to come this way and go up into Goose Creek and reach out in Monk's Corner. In the meantime, however we can work with them to maybe establish some park and rides. We're in conversations with them about establishing park and rides and things so that we can, again, mitigate the cars on the roads. We are also, DOT is right now undergoing a safety project here on 176 throughout Goose Creek that's going to mitigate and eliminate a lot of left-hand turns, which have caused accidents over and over and over. The number of accidents on Highway 176 in Goose Creek is, quite frankly, very taxing on our police and fire departments. It takes a lot of their time, a disproportionate amount of their time, and it ruins traffic. You know, every time there's an accident anywhere, it ruins traffic. So that safety project, along with light timing, which people complain about all the time, why aren't these lights timed? Well, they're going to get timed in a way that will help traffic keep traffic moving through the city of Goose Creek. I again push back on the notion, though, that what you do with roads and traffic is what you can do, is the best and most efficient way to affect traffic and congestion. I'll again reiterate, economic development is the best way to mitigate traffic and congestion. Put jobs where people are, put people where jobs are. And by the way, if you look at it from a state perspective, not just the Tri-County area, but so Goose Creek needs economic opportunity for our folks to live and work here, so they don't have to travel to Mount Pleasant or wherever for their job. We need to create that here. But then let's look at it from a state perspective. What can happen out in Orangeburg County or Williamsburg County or Jasper County? Those folks need jobs too, and they need jobs in their communities. So it really takes an overall effort and coordinated effort on behalf of all of us to impact the entire state of South Carolina to mitigate traffic here in Charleston, in Columbia, in Greenville, Spartanburg. Everything can't just go to those places. Economic development in Jasper County is just as important to Charleston or to Hilton Head as it is to Jasper County. Because again, you create opportunities for people to live and work where they are. So you want to mitigate traffic, you put jobs where people are, and you put retail where people are, and that'll mitigate traffic.
Mayor Greg Habib, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. I'm always happy to be here.